Hi Katie.
Hi Colin.
And welcome to a bonus pod edition of
Macam and the Monk.
How exciting. So, just to remind you, we've done all 24 episodes of season 1. And they were fantastic and wonderful and weird and incestuous and all these other sort of
Incestuous?
things. Yeah, very incestuous.
Wow.
And now we're going to do a bonus pod.
Right.
So the bonus pod is part of sort of looking at the movies that were based on season 1, and then we're going to do a little bit of a fun thing on a Friends theme, as in where we're going to come up with like a silly title for them all, but you can explain that later.
Okay.
And then finally we're just going to have a little Q&A, little chat about what you thought about Space 1999 and how you hate doing this and how we're gonna do something else next time or something like that.
Oh, don't say that. It's been great.
God, tell you what, we put the hours in, haven't we?
Haven't we just?
Oh, dear me. So, let's start with the movies.
Right.
So, ITC, the production company, decided to turn to produce 5 movies based on Space 1999. Now, the first one that they did was called Spazio 1999. So have a guess what language that was in?
Italian.
Correct, yes. So we already have mentioned several times the Italian connections. They took 3 or 4 episodes and they dubbed it in Italian. And it had a new soundtrack by a composer called Ennio Morricone.
Right.
And
He also sounds Italian.
He's very, very Italian. He literally did spaghetti westerns.
Oh.
That's where he made. So you know, like the good, the bad, and the ugly, the one that goes da ya ya da da da.
Yeah,
well, that's one of his. So he couldn't be any more Italian. So and he's top 10 Ennio. You know, in terms of like film music composers, he's right up there.
Ennio
Morricone.
Oh,
The guy we're talking about.
I thought you were doing an acronym.
So he's god tier, you know, he's up there with like Williams and Zimmer and all those other type of people.
Right.
So yeah. But we're not going to do that. Because it would just be a load of Italian and us going, well, that's a nice tune. That's a nice tune. Because there was nothing changed apart from the fact it was put in Italian. So we're not going to do Spazio 1999.
Right.
And then 2 of the movies were based on season 2. So there's no point in doing them either, is there?
Not really.
No.
Because I haven't seen season 2.
So there's 2 left. So you're going to ask me the question, why did they do movies?
Well, why did they do movies?
Exactly, yes. So there's 2 main reasons. So first of all, this was all done afterwards. So after both seasons were released and put on the telly and whatever.
Okay, so both seasons were made, released, seen, etc.
Yeah, exactly. So there was 2 reasons. The first reason was VHS.
Video cassettes.
Video cassette, exactly. So in the sort of late 70s and early 80s, VHS players really sort of took off.
Right.
And people had them in their homes and there was a demand for
I
content.
I remember, yeah.
And people wanted stuff to put in them. So
Only just remember mine.
So they thought they could turn... Bullshit. So they thought they could turn some of these movies they could turn some of the episodes into movies and sell them as VHSs or have them, you know, people could rent them and stuff like that. And we'll move on to that in a second.
Okay.
The other reason was because of emerging markets. So whilst Western Europe and American stuff like that were, you know, had a million TV channels and video shops and all the other sort of things.
Yeah.
Other places around the world were still catching up in terms of technology. So they thought, right, well, to tap into the emerging markets, it was a lot easier to produce a few movies than to say, here's 48 episodes.
Right.
Of John pointing his finger and, you know.
So they thought people were more likely to engage with the film than...
Yeah, it's like a bit like a gateway drug. So they could watch the movie and go, oh, I like that, and go and, you know, watch it on telly or buy the VHS of the series.
Yeah, okay.
Because you couldn't really buy them as box sets then, because they were just physically so big. You put 24 hours worth of telly on a VHS, that's 6 VHSs, something like that.
Now, I had all of the X-Files on VHS.
How strong were you?
That was a big cabinet.
Did it take up half your room?
Yeah.
So what they used to do then is that they would have a few episodes per VHS and you would sort of buy them over a period of time and collect them up. Whereas obviously now you get skinny little DVDs and Blu-rays, you can put the lot on them, can't you?
Yeah.
You know, and it's all much easier.
Or you stick them all on a memory stick.
Oh, you go onto Netflix and you press a button
Yeah.
and you watch them. So it's a lot different now. And what they also did is that they actually didn't show the episodes on VHS if there was a movie. So there was only 40 episodes you could get on VHS in these territories because you had to get the movies, which is a bit shit because as you're going to see, the movies and the episodes are subtly different.
Right, so you missed out.
Exactly. Well, actually, you got a bit more in one of them, but
yeah, but you missed out on the content of the other, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. But you also got Oliver Onions as well. But that's at the end of season 2, Oliver Onions.
You keep talking about this Oliver Onions.
So that was the sort of science behind it. So what they did, so what we're going to do the 2 season 1 ones.
2 season 1
ones. So we've got Alien Attack, which is Breakaway, the very first one, and War Games.
Right.
And that's really cool because they actually filmed additional scenes for that. So we get a bit of the Lunar Commission and people with turtlenecks being all serious and
right.
You know.
So the Lunar Commission, is that like the ground base on Earth?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that's it. And then the second one is Journey to Where. Journey to the Far Side of the Black Sun, or whatever it's called.
Right.
Which did Black Sun and Collision Course.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a lot to do with that one, so we'll just top and tail that one.
Right.
Because they just put them together, made a few cuts and whatever. So they're the 2 that we're going to do. But first, boys and girls, we have to talk about Sybil Danning.
Who's Sybil Danning?
Sybil Danning, right. So, picture this.
Not a new character.
Picture this. Oh, she would have been great in space. Barbara wouldn't have liked having Sybil.
Oh, would she not?
Nah, no chance.
Right.
So picture this. It's the mid-80s. Pretend you weren't 2 years old, right? Pretend you were a bit older.
Big hair.
And
leotards.
Your mum. It was a Friday night, and your mum and dad had said, "Right, let's go to the video shop."
Right.
So, would you like to describe to everybody what that actually would have meant?
So you would go to a local store called a video shop, and it would have lots and lots of videos on the walls, on shelves, and you could pick 1 or 2, or sometimes it'd have deals on where you got so many for so many nights, and you'd rent them. So you might pay like a £5 for 3 movies, you'd keep them for 2 nights over the weekend, and then you take them back. And you had to be a member, so you had to get a membership card.
Oh God, I forgot about the card. You got your Blockbuster card, didn't you?
Yeah. And Blockbusters is probably the most famous one, and they also did like video games. Eventually you could get DVDs as well, and you could get things like sweets and popcorn, ice cream, drinks. So it was a bit like where you would go for your weekend movie entertainment if you weren't going to the cinema. Yeah. That
was beautifully described, that, Katie.
Thank you.
It was lovely. Yeah, I had a dodgy one round at my precinct around the corner from my house.
We did, yeah.
And it was well dodgy.
We had one called Azad's.
I was far too young, but I'm sure he had a few under the counter. For the dads.
Yeah.
That was Blu-ray, but a different thing, different type of Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So what was the big deal about video shops? What was the whoopee-doo about them?
You got all of the new releases off the cinema before they came out to buy.
Yes.
So you could watch things before you could go and buy them.
Yeah, so there was like a sort of process of films. So if something would come out in the cinema, then you could rent the video, then you could buy the video, and then it would be on telly.
Yeah.
So it was quite an exciting thing. So when E.T. came out as a rental, you could go, oh, I could go and get E.T. and whatever.
And the thing about that was each video store would only get so many of the new releases, so you had to be like quick off the mark to get one for like the first weekend it was out.
And if you didn't get them back in time, you got fined.
Yes,
didn't
you did. You got fined like another night's rental.
My video shop fined people if you didn't rewind them.
Did you? Ours did ask you to rewind them. And also, when the new films came out on telly eventually, did you not find they always came out at Christmas?
Yeah,
on
and
the
it was
telly?
about 3 years later, though. No exaggeration.
Yeah.
I'm sure Star Wars premiered in like 1981 or something ridiculous like that. No, I'm being serious. I'm absolutely positive it was like 4 or 5 years after it came out. So the reason we're prattling on about this is because if you knew what you wanted and you were waiting for the latest, He-Man and Masters of the Universe, and you knew it came out in May 1987 or whatever, you were fine. But if you didn't know what you wanted, you only had one thing to go on, didn't you?
the cover and the write-up on the back.
The boxes, yeah, and because they were quite big, it's a bit like vinyl. You had. It was quite nice to pick it up and feel it and read the things and what have you. So what a company in America decided to do is that they released a series of videos called Adventure Video.
Adventure Video.
Adventure Video, and Sybil says there's 28.
Sybil
says that Sybil's still with us. Sybil is very active. It's
right.
Sybil. So the reason why we're going on about Sybil is because what they did with these videos is they got all these cheap and nasty films that nobody had ever heard of, and they repackaged them. And the packaging on the actual box, I'm going to show Katie.
Right, let's have a look.
And it will give you an idea about what type of market they were after. So if I bring up the thing. So,
oh my gosh!
So, would you like to describe to the audience what 10-year-old Colin would have seen when he went in the video shop?
Boobs,
Boobs.
legs, big gun,
Hair.
yeah, very 80s hair.
So what they did is that they packaged it up as being Sybil Danning's adventure video. And what does the font remind you of?
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, very much so.
The adventure in particular.
So the premise was that she was introducing these videos. So it's almost like she'd handpicked, Final Fury 27 or something like that, and she'd handpicked it, and it was part of her collection.
I can see why you said Barbara wouldn't like it.
No, definitely not. So it was a big thing. So each of these videos were packaged up, and apparently it did really well with a certain demographic. So all these teenage boys saw these boxes with Sibs on it and thought, oh great, I'm going to watch this because it's going to be tits and guns and ammo and stuff. And 9 times out of 10 they were right, weren't they?
So she introduces Space 1999.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You've got her doing Space 1999.
I feel like it's misrepresentation.
It's a lot more than that, isn't it? So, by the gift of the internet, I have one of her introductions as an audio file.
Oh, come on then.
So here we go. So let's have a bit of Sibs.
Stargazers. I'm Sybil Danning, your warp speed host for this adventure where no video has gone before. Because we're ready to beam into the very near future, past the outer limits, in space 1999, just in time for the alien attack. A fantastic voyage in Starship Adventure Video. Imagine you're on Moonbase Alpha, surrounded by the unknown. The universe might look empty, but you know better.
Surrounded by John's ego.
Yeah.
And into that darkness, separated from planet Earth. So everybody thinks you're dead. You're desperately seeking somewhere, some new home planet for you and your friends.
She's very American.
Very, very American. She's actually Austrian.
Oh, she?
Yeah, Yes. So you get the idea, don't you? Yeah. Okay.
So she's bigging it up to be much more adventurous than it actually is.
So you've got her in a sort of spangly thing. So what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to do the audio, I'm just going to show you it. So I found a YouTube video of a similar thing, but it's for a completely different film.
Right.
And you can see her strutting her stuff. So you can describe it for everybody, can't you? So what's she doing here?
So she's come out of it's obviously a set, but it's like palm plants and rocks. She's in a tiny little camel bikini and camel cargo pants with a huge, what looks like machine gun or something.
It's massive, isn't it?
Yeah. And she's got the big 80s hair, and she just looks really like... Oh, she reminds us, body-wise and attitude-wise, of the woman out of Aliens, with the short hair that does the pull-ups.
Vasquez, yeah. Yeah.
But she definitely has breasts, doesn't she?
She definitely has breasts. So what I think is absolutely hilarious about this is horny teenage boy will get the box and get the intro.
Yeah.
And then they get John and Victor, don't they?
Well, that's what I was saying, yeah. So
especially for the second one, for the Black Sun one, it's just them looking like gorillas drinking brandy, isn't it?
Yeah, so she makes it seem like it's this sort of macho, dangerous, fast-paced adventure in space, when really it's not at all.
So you get.
Do you think?
You can get the idea, can't you? So I just think it's hilarious that the way that they've sort of conned people. So what I've got. So she did an intro and an outro. I found 13 seconds of the outro.
Right.
For the Black Sun one. So we'll play that, and we can just quickly play it, and then you can give them an idea what it was they were going to get. So here we go.
Until our next star date, save your atomic energy, because you and I are the perfect team to teach this whole universe the real meaning of the Big Bang Theory.
She's being very flirtatious.
So what's her get-up? What's she dressed as?
She's dressed as... Well, she's in a high-necked, sparkly silver sleeveless top that only just covers her boobs.
Only just.
A midriff is bare, and you can't see what she's got on below because it's just sort of waist up.
Probably nothing.
But again, she has the big gun, and it looks like she's either got gloves or like wrist cuffs on.
So the Big Bang Theory,
Yeah.
And it's all double entendres like
Well,
that.
that's exactly what I said. She's being very flirtatious and suggestive, yeah.
So she did the intro for these, and I think it was about 85, 86 it came out on the sort of shop floor.
Right.
And Barbara and Martin were at a convention.
All right.
And somebody just happened to say, "Oh, have you seen the video with Sybil in it, stuff like that?"
Yeah.
They hadn't got a clue.
Oh no.
And because of image rights, they actually have veto on all the releases of Space 1999.
Right.
So as soon as they found out, this got pulled.
No way.
So the copies of this are actually collector's items. So the other 26 adventure videos are probably worth nothing, but the ones, yeah, because they were so rare. So good old Sybil.
So they were totally taken off sale, like.
Yep.
So maybe they were what your video man had under his counter.
Maybe so. Yeah. Would you like a bit of Sybil?
Yeah.
So that's by the by. So I just thought that would be a bit of a laugh, wouldn't it?
I wonder why they were so against it.
Well, you know how straight-laced they were.
And it doesn't really represent the show,
No,
does it?
it doesn't. And they were very... I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? If she was just saying, and now we're going to have Space 1999 and Victor and John are in trouble and there's a black hole, fair enough. But it's all this sort of... I mean, like, I've got the scripts here, and it's like... It's just like... you don't know whether they'll save your asteroid, and stuff like that. It's all a bit sort of, yeah. Personally, I've always wished you could have 3 of everything. That's in the script.
3 of everything?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, there are various things I could say about that.
So, yeah. So that's Sybil. And she's still very much with us. And her career was basically doing B-movies. So doing popcorn, either scary films or erotic things or
was she
stuff
in
like
much?
that. Oh, she was in loads. Her filmography could fill an entire podcast.
Oh.
But the only film... I'll mention a few things. So the first thing... So she was in a couple of mainstream things. She was in Battle Beyond the Stars, which is one of James Cameron's first films.
Right.
And it's brilliant.
Okay.
Absolutely brilliant. And she played a space Viking.
I can see that.
Yeah, and she was brilliant in that because she was exactly the same as what she was
She's
there.
like a female Arnie.
She was like, you've never lived until you've seen a Viking go down. And bear in mind this is a PG.
Yeah.
Then she was in V, which is an alien thing I keep talking about, which you've never seen. But she was only like a small character in that. And they're all lizards anyway, so...
Lizards.
Yeah, they're all lizards. Which if you've never seen V, I've just given away the plot.
Alright, okay. Fine.
So, and then... One of her most notable roles was in The Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf.
The Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf.
Where she plays a 10,000-year-old werewolf.
Ah.
And she's like the queen mother of all werewolves. So she's like the Adam and Eve of werewolves.
So she's like the matriarch.
Yeah. and it's notable because Christopher Lee's in it.
Oh, okay.
And it's a terrible film.
So what is Christopher Lee's part?
He's 3.7 on IMDb. I've never seen it. I've got no idea.
Right.
I've just when I've been doing the research, but it's notable. So in the trivia section of IMDb, you always get bits like, this film was made in 1983 and they filmed it in Spain or whatever it's like that.
Yeah.
But 3 mentions in the trivia are to the fact that she exposed her breast 17 times in the end credit scene.
17 times in the end credits scene.
So the end credits scene apparently is just her. It's the same shot but 17 times. because she was fed up of always being sort of naked in films. So she said, I'll only do one nude scene. And so they did the one nude scene, and they just kept looping it. Yeah. Yes. So it's certainly her filmography is just like it's just Amazon women on the moon, and you got these films where she's in prison with a load of other women, and obviously they're all doing things in the shower and what have you. And then just absolutely crazy. So
do you think she's a bit like a female Arnie?
Definitely, yeah. I wouldn't argue with her. But as I say, she's still active, and she's on Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that.
I'm going to look her up on Instagram.
And posts all sorts of stuff, but she's like, her posts are really random, so if something's in the news, she'll try and find a connection, but it'll be really, really random.
Right.
So like, Titanic was 25 years old this year, so she posted a picture of James Cameron doing the models for Battle Beyond the Star that she was in, type thing. So she managed to get, and that's actually one of the more sort of coherent links. You know, so
is she a bit nuts now? Or?
I think she's always been a bit eccentric.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do stuff like this and be Patrick Stewart, can you? You know, you can't be like straight-laced and what have you. So that's Sybil. So anyway,
I don't think Patrick Stewart would have suited that outfit anyway.
I think 15 minutes on Sybil Danning's 15 minutes too many, but there you go.
Do you?
So, yeah. But we've done it anyway. We've done Sybil. So back to the films, back to the movies. Right, 15 minutes. She'd get a lot done in 15 minutes, wouldn't she, Sybil?
Yeah.
So are you being funny? Is that why you?
Well, I thought you might respond.
Right. Okay. Oh, I'm. Was it like Stockhausen syndrome or whatever it is? I've done that much research into this and what have you. So I'm completely like. Plus, she's not exactly my type, is she? You know.
She's nothing like your type.
She's tall, but after that.
Oh, she looks. Now, mind you, I thought she looked short.
Oh no! She's statuesque.
I suppose you said she plays Amazonian women. Yeah.
You wouldn't argue with her.
Right.
No, definitely not. No. So back to the thing. Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to do, we're not going to sit and watch the entire movie and go, oh, it's that again. Oh, it's that again. You know, because you just go back to the podcast and hear what we thought about the individual episodes. But what I'm going to do is pick the bits out that were different.
Right.
And certainly for the first one, Alien Attack, there is loads of new stuff.
Right.
You know, with Patrick Allen.
Just apologising to the podcasters because they're about to open a bottle of pop. Sorry.
There we go. It's not champagne tonight, is it?
It's not.
No
it's
champagne.
Not.
Right, so Alien Attack.
Alien Attack. Let's go.
Attack. So, first up.
Oh.
So we have a
That's
logo.
very fancy.
It's very 80s, isn't it?
Yeah.
In fact, the whole thing's very 80s, isn't it? So we have an ITC logo.
It had a drop shadow.
And then I need to remember to put it onto not Italian but English.
English is good.
So we've got a voiceover here.
Yeah.
Primitive explorations in the mid-20th century.
That's a very deep voice.
It is, isn't it?
Today, an advanced, complex instrument.
So there's a voiceover over shots of the moon and stuff, and shots from the season 1 episodes.
Yeah, so we're in Moonbase.
So they're showing bits of Breakaway here, aren't they?
Mission, yeah.
And they're just showing shots of the nuclear waste being taken out. So yes, so the guy doing the voiceover is one of the dudes you'll see at Lunar Commission.
Right.
So I'll point him out if I can remember.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So they're just basically summarising Breakaway.
The ship stands ready.
That's a bit like the ISS, that ship.
The year is 2100.
So it's the year's 2100.
It's 1999.
so
it's cold.
Because when they were editing the videos, they retconned the year, even though it's literally called Space 1999.
Yeah.
They say it's now from 2100.
But it's not. It's not.
Because they realised that we've only got a few years left and we haven't got any moon bases, have we?
But it's just science fiction. It doesn't matter.
So anyway, isn't this exciting?
Yeah.
So this music is called The Giant's Causeway.
The Giant's Causeway. Are they an island?
So it's very much a sort of lots of shots sort of pushed together, isn't it? So it's a bit like the opening montage. The montage that you had. It's a bit like that, isn't it?
The music's not right though.
No, it's not. You need Barry, don't you?
I want the real music.
Oh, okay. Alright. No, I'm just showing you what happened. So this is 1979. I've just worked out the Roman numerals. And so straight away, where are we?
Looks like London.
We're in that London.
That London.
Don't like being in that London.
No, too busy.
And we're going into some sort of officey boardroomy type thing here, aren't
Spiral revolving door.
we? No. Big sign outside.
The International Lunar Commission. Oh, look, we're in space. Metaprobe.
Yeah. So the guy with the black turtleneck is called Patrick Allen.
Oh, you don't like a turtleneck.
And they've all got turtlenecks, haven't they?
Yeah.
And he is his voice is very famous. He did lots of radio and adverts and stuff.
Right.
But as far as pop culture is concerned, he was most famous for doing the Protect and Survive videos, which is what will be played if there's a nuclear attack.
Oh.
And his calm voice is telling everybody what to do with the dead bodies. And
Oh, lovely. Nice.
So they're in some sort of boardroom, aren't they?
And they've got horrible orange, browny velvet curtains.
Yes, they have. And they're talking about what's going on.
They've got the nipple hills.
Yeah, so we're going to the. It keeps cutting between the boardroom and the beginning of Breakaway, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Have you reached a decision?
Yes, finally.
Yeah, so we got a brown turtleneck and a red turtleneck, and I think the voiceover dude wears the blue turtleneck.
Right.
And I could be wrong.
Does he know
So,
you?
go on.
I'm going to say he's just given him a folder with a big picture of John.
And who else is he gonna have a picture of?
Also with
Simmons! Simmons is back.
Oh my
Not
god.
for long.
Simmons and all that hair.
Metaprobe just cannot be allowed.
It's basically the same because the shit keeps hitting the fan.
Conclusion.
They're gonna send John up there.
To whip it all back into shape.
Yeah, because John's the man. Because if you remember in Dragon's Domain, John was grounded. John and Victor were grounded, weren't they?
Yeah.
So Victor's already been sent up. So now they're going to send him up as well.
So Victor's already up there.
Yes.
Right.
So this is them making the decisions to send John up there.
And that looked like an eagle.
So basically they're cutting the first few minutes of Breakaway in between these lunar the lunar commission shots.
I thought it looked like it was crashing.
Yeah. Alan's not in it though this
Oh,
time.
why is it crashing?
Well, it's the beginning of Breakaway, isn't it?
I know, I was joking.
Oh, sorry. Were you pretending that you didn't know the whole premise of
Yes.
Space 1999?
No, I wasn't. I was saying, like, Alan always crashes them.
Don't tell me that the moon explodes. So we've now got the white-eyed people and stuff like that. And what
Yeah,
have you.
look at his face.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's the first bit. That's your first bit.
I don't remember seeing all of those lights in any of the other episodes.
Well, maybe we need to rewatch it again. Maybe we could do a podcast of us rewatching it. Could we call the Mac and the Man Amnesia Special?
Yeah.
What? When did she have that haircut? Yeah. So that's your first bit. So basically, it's to give some meat on the bone about the Metaprobe and why they're shitting themselves, basically, and because the Metaprobe's going from the moon, and all these things are exploding, and so it's Patrick Allen and his mates saying, "Well, we need to sort this out, and John needs to do it."
So they think John's the man to do it.
Yeah, and they also mention Simmons as well, so they can get him in the plot somewhere, can't they?
I suppose they need to get him in there, don't they?
Simmons, I miss Simmons.
Do you?
They should so have got Simmons in the Dragon's Domain episode, shouldn't they?
Oh, I thought. Oh well, yeah. I suppose
You know when
they
he goes
could
into
have done.
M's study?
Yeah.
You could have had Simmons, couldn't you? Going,
Yeah.
bumhole monsters! Italian bumhole monsters? What are you going on about? You know?
He was a novice though, wasn't he?
Right, so we've now fast forwarded half an hour or so.
Right.
And we're now into the next bonus scene.
With a crash looking
That's John's, I
eagle.
think. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So John's crashed on the moon.
Those figures through the computer bank.
Oh, computer bank.
Nothing from Koenig?
Routine reports only. Simmons is in constant touch, and if the need arises, he'll go to Moonbase after himself.
So they've got a model eagle on the desk in front of them.
That's worth a fortune now.
Is that a carafe of whiskey?
Yes! It's like when you go to the Indian restaurant, that,
I
isn't it? Or
know.
the Italian restaurant.
I bet you,
But we're in no position yet
What?
to reach a decision.
Cellini.
no.
That's why
Victor's
Victor!
got one.
Oh, Victor will have a carafe.
Yeah.
faith in his capabilities.
Yeah. So basically what they're doing here is they're sort of talking about... so Red Shirted Turtleneck is desperate to launch Meta.
Right.
And Patrick Allen is going, let's trust Koenig. Koenig knows the score. Koenig knows the drill.
But does he?
Should not even be allowed into the considerations. Launch the probe. It's the only decision that
Well,
you
he's
can
right.
take.
They should have just launched the bloody thing.
Yeah.
I mean, every spacecraft they launched in season 1 fucked up.
Yes,
but
it
you know,
did, yeah.
let's do it again. So that was your little additional one.
Okay.
And I quite like these because they sort of show how much responsibility John was given. It wasn't just John went up and something went wrong. John was already being tooled up by Earth
Yeah.
to get Meta launched to sort out the shit, and there was loads and loads of responsibility on him. And it might explain why he's a bit of a knob.
Yeah, because it's not like he was there and then it went wrong.
Yeah.
It was going wrong and he was sent to sort it out, and then it went even more wrong.
So his mindset has always been he's representing sort of the authorities on Earth type thing, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
anyway.
I guess he feels like he's responsible for everyone on the moon
Yeah.
base.
No, I think that's exactly why he is how he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So should we re-edit all the podcasts so I'm slightly like easier on him?
No, because he's still a knob. Just because he's got all this responsibility and all these things to do doesn't mean he can't still be nice to people.
Right. And so we get to the final bit of Breakaway. So the moon's blown up.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah. And here we go. So I think John's just done his boring speech, or he's just about to make his boring speech. I can't remember. You know where he.
Everyone looks a little bit solemn.
They do. Yeah. So picture of the moon.
Yeah.
Picture of moon base.
Totally unforeseen
Oh.
accident on the
A
lunar
totally unforeseen accident.
So this is the news report. You know, space news.
You don't get this in Breakaway, do you?
Yeah, you do.
Oh,
but
do
it's
you?
it's slightly different. The wording of it.
Right.
States along the
Oh, you
San
can see
Andreas
Barbara's nipples.
and in Yugoslavia, as well as
Maybe that's why it's a special edition, the VHS. You know, that was what you paid your money for. Never mind Sybil.
the International Lunar Commission is an executive conference at this moment, deciding what steps might be taken to rescue
Starting to break up as they float away.
Yeah.
women on Moon Base Alpha. Little hope is held, however, that there are any survivors.
Oh, I missed the big set.
If there are any survivors.
From the space dock until that too was hurled.
What do you mean you missed the big set?
It has now
No,
been
it's,
established
like, they moved all the chairs around about 8 episodes in. Do you remember? It was almost like in the square, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Open plan.
Yes, open
Very
plan.
feng shui. Chai chi. What's it called?
Feng Shui.
Is that right? Was I right first time?
Yeah.
It's not like me to get me bollocks right, is it?
I know.
So this is exactly as it was in Breakaway. They're all pressing buttons. John's preparing his words for his crap speech.
Aww.
It was one small step for Barbara, one giant step for Conan. Paul's moustache. Sure, the music's different.
I wonder how you deal with that.
What, the moon blowing up?
Like being completely separated from the Earth and stranded in space.
Just while we ponder that, we're back on Lunar Commission, aren't we?
Yeah.
Patrick Allen's hair slightly ruffled now.
I know, it's not looking quite as in place, is it?
No. There's somebody with a very tidy moustache joined them in the meeting, hasn't there?
Yeah, and there's a very pale blue turtleneck in the mix there as well.
I think he's the one who does the voice.
Right.
was far more severe than at first suspected. There were many other casualties.
They
But
were.
in view of the inferior radio reception and the possibility of error, I've decided...
He's very English, isn't he?
Oh, I love Patrick.
Is there no chance of a rescue mission?
He's not English.
Absolutely none.
Now, Mr. Chairman,
The speed of the moon away from the Earth far exceeds the capabilities of any present-day spacecraft.
Yeah. So they can't go and get
They
them.
can't chase
Alpha
them.
was never even a possibility. Emergency Operation Exodus stood no chance.
Operation
Operation
Exodus.
Exodus!
Now we have to think of ourselves. It's as simple as that. All our present resources are urgently required here,
Yeah.
on Earth.
I thought the Earth's change of axis had settled, was now stable. It is, but states of emergency
So the Earth's axis was changing.
So basically they're saying because the moon's gone out of orbit, it's caused loads of ecological disasters on the Earth.
It'll affect the sea.
And yeah, it's exactly, they talk about floods.
Yeah.
So they basically don't have enough resources to sort out the problems on Earth, never mind go after the moon.
Especially when they've not really got any hope of capturing
Yeah.
them.
lost. I personally shall try to believe that survival is possible,
Of course it is.
and that the men and women will continue to live for years to come.
He's very clairvoyant, isn't he, Patrick?
Greatest probe into space.
Isn't he?
And he's now looking at a globe of the moon, isn't he?
It's weird, a globe of the moon.
Facing whatever confronts them in the universe. Surmounting all difficulties.
That's very poignant.
Yeah. So what you didn't hear amongst that lot was, because we were talking, is that Simmons is dead.
Oh,
So according to the movie, Simmons died.
right. But he didn't.
No, he's box. But for the movie's point of view, for the purpose of the movie, he died. Which is a shame because he's one of the best characters, isn't he? Right, and then War Games is exactly the same as what it is on the telly box.
The telly box.
Telly box. So yeah, so we just fast forward to the credits.
Mm-hmm.
So the credits of the whole thing. There's Helen, remember when she was put in a box full of, remember the big collar? Mm-hmm. And John, I can't.
Yeah.
She got really upset, didn't she? Just for a change. Because although War Games was shown late, it was actually filmed quite early.
Right.
So I wonder if that was a factor with this as well. But anyway. So here we have end credit scene.
End credit scene.
And it is... My name is Sybil Danning.
Why is the music different?
This is called Disco Dynamite.
Nobody needs a disco. We need the music.
Strap yourselves in, big boys, for the ride of your life.
I don't like this music.
Can you imagine Sibs though, just with like
Sibs. Are you on first name?
Popping up with a gun now?
Are you and her on nickname basis? War Sibs.
Well, apparently her outro was, the only weapon you need is your courage.
Oh,
there we go. Have I got the right one here? Yes, I have. She's talking about a black hole, even though there was no black hole in that one.
right.
How exciting. So Basil and Anne were on the makeup.
Right,
They were
both of them.
One did one side.
One did the other.
One did one ear. Yes. Don't unzip your flight suit just yet. We have more dangerous visions ahead.
Oh.
And then they showed some trailers. And it says, you're not alone because you and I can have all the close encounters we want.
Oh dear.
Yes.
Double entendres,
good
like
old-
you said, yeah.
Good old Sibs, yes. Killing Machine and Mad Frank was one of the films.
Mad Frank.
No, that's one title.
Oh.
Oh dear.
I wonder how Mad Frank really was.
So that was Alien Attack. So as you can see, they put loads of bonus stuff in there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't filler. It made it feel a bit more real, didn't it?
It gave it a bit of pattern, the story in the background, didn't it?
Because all you see is them on the moon and
Yeah.
things going wrong. And then in the back of your mind, you're thinking, well, how's that going to affect the Earth? And why doesn't the Earth do something about it?
Yeah, why didn't anyone go after them?
Well, that helped to explain,
Yeah.
first of all, why they sent John up in the first place, but also the whole, the whole thing that they couldn't rescue them because the shit had hit the fan.
I always just assumed John applied for a job on Moonbase and got it.
Yeah.
Not that he was sent.
Indeed.com,
Yeah.
Location, filter
Yeah.
by, and it says moon. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
So that was that one. So anyway, that was brilliant, wasn't it?
It
So,
was.
so the second one, Journey Through the Black Sun, which I got wrong before
Right.
because I'm just stupid.
Yeah, that's stupid.
So this is a Muff special.
A muff.
Muff special. So if you don't know what we're talking about,
Muff.
it's not. We're not being rude, and we're not talking about bread products. We
products.
are talking about this sort of theory that there was a muff, which stands for mysterious, unidentified force, and we talked about it a lot at the end of the last podcast, episode 24. So if you want to remuff, go back to the end of 24. But basically, there's not tenuous, but there might be a link between certain episodes that says there was a greater force looking after Moonbase.
So a bit of a thread weaving through it.
Yeah, that there was some sort of god figure or higher being that was actually looking after Moonbase Alpha, so they can go through black holes and space warps and all this sort of stuff. But also that the very last episode, Testament of Arcadia, was the sort of, the father figures, if you like, the sort of people who seeded the Earth in the first place, saying hi, and that it might be that the muff might have been, they deliberately blew up the moon to send them to Arcadia.
because they needed to they needed new people there.
Yes. Now we talked about it at length.
We did.
And no spoilers, because you need to go back to the last podcast if you want to find out what we thought.
That's very true, yes.
Yeah, we're not very good at being clickbaity, are we?
No.
So this is the compilation of Collision Course, which is the one I fucking hate, and Black Sun.
Is that the one you're really positive about the whole way through when we watched it?
And Black Sun, which is the where they're drinking the brandy at the end, and they turn into...
Victor and his brandy.
Yeah. So that's it. It's a muff special, that one. So there's only 2 new things in this one.
Yeah.
So we'll rack it up, and it's right at the beginning and right at the end.
Right.
Journey through, and this didn't come out till 1982.
Oh, I was nearly born.
You were twinkling. You were twinkling in your daddy's eyes.
I was not.
So we get the
That was a complete surprise.
We get the ITC. we get 2 ITC logos in this. We double up on the ITCs. Never mind you being an accident.
That was an eventually happy accident.
So the opening credits for this is slightly different, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
What's happening here?
Well, there's a blue glow around the names. Is that the sun? Or a sun? Oh! Journey through the black sun, and the words came out of the black sun. It's very fancy.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So basically, they announced the 2 main stars, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, and now Barry
also
gets to go.
starring Victor.
So it's now on some sort of isometric blue grid, isn't it?
It reminds me a bit of, you know, the film where everything's like fluorescent, different coloured lights, and they're on like motorbikes.
Oh, Tron.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't like Tron?
I don't hate it, but it doesn't like. I don't sit in bed thinking I must watch Tron.
It doesn't get you as excited as Helena and
doesn't
John
get, no,
and
doesn't.
Victor Sideburns and how many times Alan's going to crash this week.
Yeah.
So,
1,095 days after leaving Earth's orbit.
1,000.
Dr. Helena Russell recording.
Barbara
A strange and frightening
Helena
thing
is
happening.
narrating.
Our sensor and scanner readings are reacting wildly.
So this is a voiceover from a season 2 episode.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. And it doesn't give anything away.
Strange presence is
I haven't seen season 2.
But no, I'm just saying, so you're fine. It's not going
Right.
to give all the plots away and stuff.
Right.
But yes. So basically they pinched the voiceover from one of the episodes and put it on top of the Plinky Plonky. Yeah. So I don't know if you noticed, but the graphics were there was the collision course planet coming in from one side and the black hole coming from the other side.
I didn't pick up on
No,
that.
it's a bit subtle.
And you've seen this a few times.
Well, I mean, the movies are relatively new to me.
Right.
Yeah, but anyway, you know, it's called research. It's called looking into these.
Sorry.
So yeah, so that and then it's an edited version of both the episodes put together.
Right.
So John's an even bigger knob because of the way they cut it.
Okay.
He basically goes to see Aya, and Aya says you have to crash into the planet, and he's back on the moon telling everybody what to do. There
Right.
isn't the whole sort of, you know, maybe might be.
It's quite impressive. They're making him an even bigger knob.
Yeah, it's brilliant editing. That's all I can say. Whoever did the editing did really
They managed
well.
that.
Yeah. So then we have to go to the end. Unless you want to watch 18 minutes of John pointing his finger in his pyjamas, you know.
I'm alright.
Yeah, we're okay with that. Yeah, what we do in our own time.
Yeah.
So then this is the end of Black Sun, where the lifeboaty ship comes back.
Everybody's jubilant.
Yeah, Fukushima or whatever he was called. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
The Japanese dude.
Yeah.
Victor's got his cigar.
He's just sort of standing in the corridor, like, doesn't he look dead, like, chilled and just.
And then this is the end credits.
Oh, I love Victor.
So it's very similar to the beginning credits, isn't it?
Yeah, the sort of like going whoosh towards the screen.
And they've kept the music.
Yes, the music! Yay!
So why they didn't use the music at the beginning, I don't know.
Because they're stupid.
The ITC people who edited it.
Yeah, they're stupid.
Oh, well, you're getting to. So you can see how the planet's coming in on the
Yes,
left-hand side.
I can, yeah.
So that's great for radio.
It looks like a giant potato.
It does, doesn't it? It's not a great planet, is it?
I thought that said David Bowie at the bottom there.
Yeah, he gets around a bit, doesn't he? Oh, here comes the black hole on the right-hand side.
Oh,
it's coming.
yes, I
It's coming.
see it.
Yeah. Glad it's still on the continuity. Do you think it was a double up again on makeup?
Yeah. Yay!
Basil and Anne. So yeah, so that's the end of those two movies. So I mean, if you're like a completist and you have to see everything and collect everything and have it, then fine. And they've now been cleaned up and they've been put in HD and you can
can buy them still, right?
Get them on Blu-ray.
Can you?
You can go to Blockbuster Video.
Is that still a thing?
No. you can go to Blockbuster Video and you can go and buy these and whatever. So you can do that. But this doesn't, as you've seen, it has very little. That's a point behind it. But the ITC.
Yeah.
But obviously the other one, Alien Attack, had some really cool stuff in it, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it did.
So we could do that as well. So yes, so they're the movies and Sybil Danning.
Wow.
And that has filled 45 minutes of a podcast.
That was a lot to take in.
It was, wasn't it?
There's a lot of new stuff there.
So what we're going to do, we're going to cut off now.
Right.
I'm going to put some music in.
Right.
And then we're going to do the next bit.
Fab.
No one told you life was gonna be this way. The job's a joke.
Hi, Katie.
Hi, Colin.
Do you want to explain this next bit? Because I've never seen Friends.
Right. So
What's Friends?
you're the only person who doesn't know what Friends
All right,
is, right?
okay. Forget that. Right. So what we're going to do?
So every episode of Friends is called. Well, the name starts with the one where, the one with. So
The one with Tom Selleck's moustache.
fine.
Oh,
Right?
is that a real episode?
No.
Because that's the only thing I know about Friends.
No, but that's the general idea. So the one with Ross's couch, the one where Rachel's a bridesmaid, the one where Phoebe's mum spirit is in a cat.
I thought sci-fi fantasy was 99, not Friends.
So we're gonna do Space 1999 in the same vein. So the one where
So the idea is, if you can't remember them,
it's an easy way
Yes.
to identify that episode and what it's about.
so if you've got a granny who's watched this 50 years ago, you can say, it's the one with...
The bumhole monster.
Bumhole monster. Bumhole tentacle monster. Oh, spoilers! Spoilers! Cool. Right, so let's start with the first one, which is Breakaway. Which
Okay.
you'll remember is the fact... Well, we just watched it, didn't we?
Yes. So the one where the moon is exploded away from the Earth.
Exploded? Is that even grammatically correct?
Can we have the one with Katie's pretty new ring?
Yes, we can. Right. So I'm doing it as well,
Yes.
but because I'm a geek and because I don't understand Friends, I've actually already done these.
The Geekosaurus.
Yeah. So I've got, it's the one where the moon says peace out.
Ah, yes.
Two fingers, etc.
Yeah.
etc. Then we had Matter of Life and Death, which is Helena's dead husband, Helena, and the planet with the parrots and the red water that was beautiful and pure to drink.
Yes, yes. The one with the parrots.
The one with the parrots.
The
I
one
think
with the
that's great.
parrots.
So I've gone for the one with the dead husband who wasn't dead but then was.
I like that. I like that a lot.
And then Black Sun, which we've also just seen. Mm-hmm. Victor and his brandy.
The one with Victor's brandy.
You're going to say that. You can't just repeat what I'm saying.
Well, I can.
Even though I'm saying these things so you can remember which ones they were.
I can.
I'll try and be a bit more catacombs.
Catacombs.
You know, Moonbase Alpha is blasted out of the black hole, and I'll be like that. If you
I'll
want.
show off just because you'll not let me go on catacombs.
No, banned.
Banned.
So I did the one where everyone becomes cold and philosophical drinking brandy.
Uh-huh.
Right, we're going with that.
Yeah.
So Ring Around the Moon, Ted Clifford doing the tap 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 tap, the planet Triton. Do I have to say it? The eyeball planet.
I was just going to say the one with the eyeball planet.
Oh, and is that what you're going to call it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've gone with the one with the hypnotic laser light show because there's a bit where the spaceship goes to the planet and these yellow things come out and it looks terribly phallic.
Oh.
It looks like, the biology videos and as the sperm gets close to the ovum, it looks a bit like that. Alan would probably miss then as well, wouldn't he?
Oh, yeah. I imagine Martin Landau likes a good phallic thing.
Phallic, yes, absolutely. So, next one, Earthbound. Someone's in his box.
The one with Christopher Lee.
Yes. Yeah. I wasn't going to say... I'm giving them away here, aren't I?
Yeah.
I've literally put the one with Christopher Lee, brackets, no vampires.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
There's no
Because
vampires.
he's normally Dracula, isn't he?
Or something like that. Or
Van Helsing.
Howling 2, your sister's a werewolf.
Yeah.
And he's somebody in that. We need to find out who he is now, don't we?
Yeah, and I'm saying he's sometimes Van Helsing. I don't think he is. I think he's always the baddie, isn't he?
Who, Christopher Lee?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's
definitely.
never Van Helsing.
We recently watched somebody doing a tour of the Wicker Man filming
That
locations,
was
didn't
good.
we?
I enjoyed that YouTube video.
Yeah, and he wasn't a good guy in that one either,
No,
was he?
he wasn't.
And he wore a dress.
He
and a
often
wig.
does. He often does.
But it wasn't the wig. It
No.
was a wig.
A wig.
Yes.
He wears a dress all the way through the Lord of the Rings as well.
Oh, well, there you go. You know, man for all seasons. So, another time, another place, Jedi Bergman, Regina and her easel.
The one with the other Helena.
Oh, when she's doing the loom, isn't she?
Does that work?
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, I'm not too far away with that. Yeah. So I put the one where they meet themselves and it gets weird.
It does
Because
get
I am
weird.
so sure John took one look and went threesomes.
Yeah, well, he will have done, won't
Yeah,
he?
absolutely. You know, nailed on that. And then she died. He didn't even get a chance.
I know. Poor
No.
John.
Spoilers.
And his love of phallic things.
Spoilers, you have to go back and listen to the episode if you want to know what we're going on about with. So, 7, Missing Link, Peach Melba, Peter Cushing.
So the Peach Melba woman wants to marry John, doesn't she?
Well, want to do something.
Yeah, she wants
Have
to
relations.
She wants to mate.
Mate, yes.
The one where John is the eligible bachelor.
So the Japanese one was something like, you know, Danger of the Space Zoo, wasn't it? You know? So yeah, Johnny's the bachelor. That's very American, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's very American. So
Well, John would like that.
I went with the one with the alien kidnapper who wants a pet human.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if you wanted a pet human, you wouldn't have John, would you?
Nah.
Jesus, can you imagine it?
Who would you have if you were having a pet human?
What, in general or for Space
no,
99?
in general.
No, well, for Space 99, you'd have Sandra if it was 99, wouldn't it? Sandra would be very low maintenance, wouldn't she? You'd just have to pet her now and again, you know. She'd only need a little sort of hutch or whatever it is, wouldn't she?
I would have Bergman.
Bergman.
I'd have Victor.
You couldn't put Bergman in a cage.
Well, the cats are not in a
You
cage.
could put him in like a giant whiteboard thing. Give him lots of like permanent markers and he could do his, you know.
I could get my dad to build him like, you know, he's Catio. I could get him to build one for Bergman.
Bergman cat patio.
Yeah.
That'd be great, that. So, anyway, number 8, Gardenia Paris.
Oh, I remember this one.
Yes.
This is probably the one I remember the most.
Really?
Yeah.
It is very iconic, isn't it?
Oh, and also, I would love to have had a figure like that woman.
Catherine Chanel.
Yeah.
Yes.
You said we meet her again.
We do. You've not seen the last of Catherine.
Right.
And she's at the conventions and what have you.
So, the one with the naked robot.
Well, that's a really good one. I put the one where a robot gives everyone a spa day.
Oh, yeah.
Because
okay.
they do, don't they? They're all
Yeah.
sort of sitting there in their chest hair and going... "Ooh." So, we're a bit of a problem with the next one. Because I don't think you remember the next one. So the next one is Force of Life, where it's Ian McShane turning into a Rice Krispie monster and he freezes everybody and he's got a foxy wife and he gets up at 4:30 in the morning and...
A Rice Krispie monster.
Yeah, he goes all Bernie.
But like Snap, Crackle and Pop.
Mm-hmm. His face, his entire body goes all crispy and burny and he ends up in the nuclear power plant thingy-majig and he turns into a blue Orby blob at the end.
Nah.
Nah. Okay. Alright, so what are you going to call it then?
The one that Katie can't remember.
That's catchy, isn't it? So I went for the one with the space zombie freezer guy.
Right.
Well, that still doesn't help you, does it?
Not the one with the Rice Krispies.
So the next time you say to me, there's not on telly,
Yeah.
we'll put Force of Life on.
Alright.
Because it'll be a brand new episode for you, won't it?
It will, yeah.
It'll be brilliant. Alpha Child, number 10.
Yes, okay. The one where they happened to find a child-sized uniform.
That's brilliant, that. But it did, didn't they? Zip and everything.
I know, where did it come from?
Yeah. And it was Koenig. It was Koenig's style, wasn't it? With the black sleeve.
Oh, it wasn't Bergman sweet in that one.
He was beautiful. So I went with the one with the baby that's definitely not okay.
That definitely was not okay, that baby.
So Last Sunset, Moon, Badminton, Paul being a roofie, Messiah, mushroom eating god thing.
The one where they all chilled out.
It was, wasn't it? I'm quite close. And I've gone for the one where they throw a beach party on the moon.
But they did.
They had a wonderful time on the moon,
Yeah.
didn't they? So then number 12, Voyager's Return, Ernst Queller in his lab coat. The Zoltar Speaks guy comes down the spaceship, says you polluted everybody, so Queller goes back up and commits suicide, blowing everybody up.
The one with the pollution.
I'm not convinced you remember everything about that one either.
No.
So we just need to move Thomas the Cat out the way, because there's far too many wires, isn't there?
There is for Thomas the Cat.
Oh, there we go. Gone. Right, halfway there. Is anybody still with us?
Bert's still here.
13, Collision Course, the one I hate.
The one where nothing happens.
Yes, I completely agree with that assessment. So I actually went with the one where they tried to dodge a planet badly.
Okay.
Because they didn't dodge it in the end, did they?
No.
No, what a stupid episode. 14, Brian Blessed, Ice Planet.
The one with Brian Blessed.
Oh, okay. But he's in season 2.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. The first one with Brian Blessed.
Right, okay, well that's fine. That's
Yeah.
alright, you're allowed that. You're definitely allowed that. I've gone with the one with the Frosty Immortal Drama Club. Because you had that guy, didn't you, going beware the eyes of March.
Shakespearean actor guy, yeah.
Him as well, so he's quite good. Full Circle, where they're all cavemen and Helena goes batshit. And
The one with the Neanderthals.
that's a spot on one there. So I've gone slightly more left field and gone batshit cavemen for a minute.
I
They
like
become
that.
batshit cavemen for a minute.
I like it.
End of Eternity, you've got the big Alvin Stardust guy in the black chucking people out of, doing Big Daddy wrestling, and then he gets sucked out of an airlock at the end. John with his sticker. Do you remember when he peeled that sticker off that said warning airlocks? He's a really tall guy with the black on.
Okay.
Yeah. His asteroid was full of paintings and they looked like the Scream.
Yeah. The one with the Darth Vader wannabe.
Darth Vader. I like that. Can you imagine him and Anakin?
Oh, yeah.
I'm miserable and moody. No, I'm miserable and moody. Well, I'm much more miserable and moody than you are. No, you're not. I went with the one with the emo immortal dude who's good at wrestling but not airlocks.
Excellent. Yeah.
So I think it summed up him. Do you know, if there'd have been a season 3, he'd have been in it.
Would he?
Yeah, in the book I'm reading, one of the script writers says they really wanted to bring him back.
Ah.
What a shame.
There should have been a season 3.
There should have been a season 3. Absolutely.
We could do it.
What? Me and you on the moon?
Yeah. Let's get the cats and Bert together and go to the moon.
Oh, okay. God. I'm having real trouble editing a 15-minute YouTube video. I don't think I'm quite ready for the rigours of special effects and stuff like that. So 17 War Games. So we just saw a bit of it, didn't we?
Yeah.
Where everything blows up at the first bit, then it's Helena in a box and John being a knob, and Alan dies. Spoilers.
The one where things explode.
The one where things explode. Yep, well, I think that's a really good one. I went a little bit meta.
Right.
The one with the moon-based explosions that weren't real, or were they?
Oh, were they?
Or were they? Yes.
Bit of mystery.
So 18, Last Enemy, Susie Quattro, Women Planet, Man Planet, with man with his eyes shut. She comes with that pretty dress that you really like. It looks like your drum.
Oh, yeah. The one with the aliens at war.
That's really good. I went for the one with the cat fight between planets. Because they were all in sexy leather and wear these cat suits. Troubled Spirit, 19.
The
You
one
remember
with
that
the
one?
ghost.
The one with the ghost.
I like
absolutely.
that one.
So I'm similar. I went with the one with the moon-based Ghostbusters.
Fabulous.
Can you imagine John with his proton pack?
I was just going to say, did they have photon
Don't
packs?
cross the streams, Victor.
Yeah.
20, Space Brain, Phone.
Space Brain, the one with the foam party.
Yes, I know. What else could you call
I
it?
know.
I mean, I'd call it something different, but yeah, it
Would
should really
you?
be Phone Party. I said it's one where the moon fights the giant space marshmallow.
That's also true.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
all the same thing, isn't it? So as we get closer, you're much more sharp, aren't you? Because you're
'cause
remembering
I,
them.
you know what my short-term memory's like.
It's about 6 episodes of Space
Yeah.
1999. That's what it is. Infernal Machines, the Gwent, the big spaceship that looked like a combine harvester.
Oh, where the
Everything's
guy was
orange.
like its little pet.
Santa Claus, whatever it was.
The one with the robot's pet.
Oh, bless. I went with the one with the sassy talking Santa Claus tank,
Wow.
which is probably not a good one, to be honest, but, you know. Mission of the Darians, Joan Collins.
Oh, yeah. The one with the mini skirt.
Yes! And that was just Victor.
Yeah.
Barbara. So I found out, you know, I said that Barbara got really upset about Joan Collins.
Yes.
And she demanded that the skirts were the same length. Well, right at the end of that episode, Barbara's on the slab about to get sacrificed, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And if you rewatch it, her dress is really, really short, and that's why.
Right.
Because she wanted to have the same length of dress as Joan.
Why was she so insecure?
I don't know. Well, you're a woman, you can tell me. Can't
Hey! Men get insecure too. I mean, Thomas the cat gets insecure.
Well, that's true. But he is 4,000 years old.
He
so.
is, yeah.
Dragon's Domain.
Dragon's Domain. Oh, is that the one with the seance?
No, Dragon's Domain's the bumhole monster.
Oh, the bum one, yes. Okay, the one.
We've actually watched that properly on the telly.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
The one with the misdiagnosed Italian.
That's a brilliant one. That. So I've gone a little bit PG, but I've gone where they flash back to a tentacle horror show.
Oh.
Because there was lots of tentacle horror
I
shows.
thought you would have mentioned Bumhole Monster.
I thought I'd have mentioned Bronson.
Bronson.
Maybe I hadn't quite, when I did these, I hadn't quite sort of come up with the whole space tentacle glowy bumhole monster type thing.
Maybe.
But, yeah. And then the last one, the one that we just watched, Stupid Song,
the one.
Testament of Cacadia.
The one with Adam and Eve.
The one with Adam and Eve.
Or the one where they became Adam and Eve.
You know, there's an episode in season 2 about Adam and Eve.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, but you don't know that.
No,
so
I don't.
That's fine. So I put the Moon People's Magical Destiny.
Oh.
Left it on a slightly sort of spiritual note.
Yeah, very mystical.
Yeah, so that's really cool. So I'll type them up, and if I can be bothered, I'll put them on the face tube.
Of course you can be bothered.
Okay. Do you not know which I have on at the moment? Never mind renaming episodes of TV from 49 years ago.
I can type them up.
Okay. But can you explain them off?
Can I explain them up? Yeah.
So, for our final part of the podcast, because that only took 15 minutes and it felt like an hour. So,
Okay.
So for our final part of the podcast, I thought I'd ask you some questions.
Okay.
Because obviously the whole premise of this podcast is not just like me and you going, oh, it's a wig. It's actually to sort of, you're experiencing something for the first time, and it's your feelings on that.
Yes.
And it's a very unique program. It's not like watching sort of, I don't know, Star Trek and Star Trek Next Generation and all that sort of stuff. You know, it's a very, very sort of specific program. So, you know, the whole point of us doing this is to find out what your feelings are on it.
Indeed.
So we are going to do season 2, aren't we?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
So that's the first question. You haven't had enough now. We're going to do, I don't know, Firefly or something like that.
Do you think people can still hear me even though Thomas the cat's in the way of the microphone?
I think you'll be fine.
Do
Yes,
you?
yeah. Well, there's nothing between them ears, is there?
That's true. My voice will go straight through. Oh, Thomas.
So,
son.
my first question is, what are your overall impressions of Space 1999?
I think it's a very unique amongst the sci-fi series. It's quite slow paced in comparison to a lot of other sci-fi stuff.
Is that all across all the episodes, or the actual episodes themselves?
I think both.
Right.
I think as an ongoing journey of them being lost in space, essentially. There's no like overreaching. Sorry, I paused there because
Thomas the cat then spilled some wine. Didn't
Thomas was moving the cat. Thomas is
So-
the cat.
There's no arc, is there? There's no general sort of.
Yeah, so I don't feel like the sort of progressing. It's like the storyline doesn't progress itself. Each episode's very standalone.
Yeah.
And I also feel like the episodes, they're not sort of like mega action filled, are they? Even though a lot might happen in them, there's not like big gunfights, there's not like battle in the Death Star or Luke in the Emperor's chambers or anything like that, is it?
No. That's fair enough. That makes a lot of sense. And does it compare to anything that you've seen before?
No.
Wow.
I think it's very, very unique. I don't feel like I've seen anything like it before. The only comparison I would make between that and another show is Red Dwarf also being lost in space.
Yeah.
And potentially in limbo, because doesn't the ship Red Dwarf become broken at some point?
Yeah, is it season 5 where they go on Starbug and the whole season's them sort of just floating around, getting lost and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's funny that your nearest simile is a piss take, and there is quite a lot of what do you call it of Space 1999 in Red Dwarf.
And I suppose Red Dwarf also doesn't have any sort of overreaching storyline, does it? Each episode's sort of very much on its own.
Yeah, but it's also the whole. There's bits of Alien in it. There's bits of Star Wars in it. There's bits of Terminator in it.
Yeah.
I think that it's just their general premise, but I think it has a lot of feel of 99. Does Red Dwarf?
I think one big difference is the character development.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of character development in Space 1999. You have the characters and you know who they are and you know their sort of on the surface personalities. Yeah. Almost like a synopsis of who they are rather than learning properly what they're about and who they are.
No, yeah, they're good points. I'll explain why in a little bit. Why that sort of happened.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add a couple of my thoughts to the end of it.
Right, yeah, of course.
Which character did you like the most?
Victor.
And which character did you head in the most?
Victor.
Victor, there's a surprise.
I love Victor.
Why Vic?
Because he's like a cozy uncle or granddad or something, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like, look at him in Alpha Child when he was helping the little boy colouring and stuff.
With the mouth.
Yeah.
Flower.
Yeah, teaching him to speak and stuff.
I see on the surface he was meant to be like a Spock type character from Star Trek, the sort of sciencey, boffin, analytical person.
Oh, he's much more personable than that.
Yeah. Couldn't get any further away, could you?
No, Spock's very devoid of emotion almost all the time.
Well, that was his point, wasn't it? That was the whole point of his character. And Vic is... I've called him a space hippie a few times, but he wasn't he? He was always on, always thought the best of things.
And I think his trousers were a little bit more flared than the other characters. I really do think his trousers were a bit different.
Is that to sort of offset the balance issue with his sideburns and his wispy hair?
Maybe it gives him a straight line, the sideburns down to the ankles.
So this may be a tough question, but who did you head in?
John.
Who did you shed in?
John.
Really?
John.
The main character.
He's just so flippin'. And he's very authoritarian, isn't he?
Yeah.
You will do what I say. I won't listen to any other outside counsel, even if it does make complete sense and I'm being a total bonehead.
There's not a lot of humour in John, is there?
No.
And because even Kirk, he'd crack the odd joke. And he'd say, "Oh, I know this is my 4th green alien I'm gonna have sex with this week, but boys, there'd be a bit of a glint in his eye."
Even Picard had a little bit of maybe not outright humour, but
yeah, no. You, I completely understand where you're coming from with that. John does warm up a little bit in season 2. You'll be pleased to know, but whether that's a good thing or not. Whether a warm, smiling, humorous John is better than a miserable John, I'm not sure.
Or is it just freaky?
Exactly. So I'll let you be the judge of that one. So that's cool. So why do you think it didn't work in 1975, either at the time of release or now? Because people now, they hold certain series to their bosoms, and it's like, wow, Doctor Who and stuff like that. Whereas this doesn't get a look in with most people. Why do you think that was?
I can think of a couple of reasons. The first one is the TV scheduling. I think if it was on every Friday at 6 o'clock, people might have thought, all right, so I'll watch this either before I bath the kids, before I go to the pub, whatever, or while I'm having my tea, and that's what would be on. Because you only had a couple of channels back then, didn't you? So the chances were you would watch that. And
we were laughing about VHS, but the people, if you missed it, you missed it. There was no catch up, there was no iPlayer, you couldn't record it until
people did make an effort to tune into their shows, didn't they?
And if they kept pissing about with it and moving it till 10:30 on a Saturday and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. If you didn't know when it was next going to be on, if it was going to be on, like, what can you do? But if you had known it was going to be on at the same time every week, I think people might have been more invested in it.
Well, ironically, America treat it better scheduling wise. They were a little bit more sort of consistent, whereas in this country, as you know, because we had a laugh about it in one episode, didn't we? We went through all the scheduling. It's like, what? Why would you put it on there? Why would you take it off there? And the irony is that the Americans thought it was a British show, which put them off, and the British thought it was an American show, which put them off.
Okay.
Even though, apart from the two main actors, it couldn't be any more British, could it?
Yeah, no, it couldn't.
If they came on with a whippet and a greyhound and eating a pie and with a flat cap on, it couldn't be any more British, could it? Yeah.
Well, the other reason, I think, you made mention there to people hold some shows like to their bosom and they're really important to them. I think what people actually hold to their bosom are the characters in those shows.
The people in them, yeah.
And in Space 1999, I think it just relates to what I said just before. You don't get to know the characters well enough to form like that a bond with them.
You get some characters that have like 2 lines in a film, and they look. I mean, we talk about aliens. There are people out there that can just rattle off the entire script verbatim. And they'll love like the Marines that had 2 lines in it or stuff, The woman who goes, "We're in the pipe 5x5." I mean, I'm on a couple of Facebook groups, and half the posts are just memes and stuff to do with that one line.
Yeah, so I think that had there been more depth of character, people would have warmed to those characters, that have thought, I really want to know what happens to this character next.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I'm trying to think of an example. So when I was a teenager, I was introduced to Star Wars, and you got a little bit of, you do get some background into the characters, don't you? Like you meet Han, for example.
But not his girlfriend.
Yeah. You meet him in the cantina, and he could have easily been the guy that got them to the Death Star. He was just some pilot, but you learned that he was a smuggler. He owed Jabba the money, and then went into like Jabba getting the bounty hunters for him, and there was a bit of a storyline around him that was sort of outside of the main story, but he was really integral to the main story as well. And that was as it was with all of the characters. And when I finished watching the Star Wars movies, which were only 3 at the time, I was desperate to read the books and know more about the characters. Yeah.
Whereas with that, the only time you really got any backstory was in the second last episode, Dragon's Domain, when it showed the flashbacks.
And Helena was the doctor and everything, yeah.
And it showed John and Victor before they were doing all of this sort of stuff. And then what we just watched with that alien attack, which was done after everything finished.
Exactly. So it was like their characters came into existence when the first episode started. And throughout the series, those characters didn't develop in any way.
No, you're spot on. I think that the biggest character I think that suffered is Paul's. Because one minute he's with Tanya, and the next minute he's with Sandra, and the next minute he's kissing her. Then they don't see each other for like 4 episodes. Then she faints when Paul Jones dies.
Isn't this what Gladys is for? Continuity.
Yeah. You weren't sleeping with Paul Jones.
No.
You were sleeping with the other Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I completely get that, and there are reasons for that, which I've got answers to. So that'd be quite cool.
Right.
So did the retro futuristic technology and style add or detract from the experience for you? So, the cuts with the stupid handles and the lasers which are hair dryers and all these other things.
Okay, so I don't think it in any way appears futuristic.
There was a clock radio, well, I'm going to say, do you remember Force of Life? But you don't. But their call at 4:30 in the morning was a clock radio.
Right.
They're really old fashioned. They were old fashioned in 1975.
Right. So I don't think that anything on the set appeared to be futuristic. Perhaps if you were watching it in the 70s, it did look futuristic.
Mm-hmm.
Now it doesn't.
No.
However, I do think it had a very particular style.
It's like a got a charm, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think everything suited everything else. I think it was styled very well that was consistent.
Yeah.
Gladys.
And her stool.
Yeah.
She used to sit on a stool in the corner of the sets and then like just do a job, which was basically making sure that everybody was standing in the same place or had the hand in the same place.
But
or
she
whatever.
wasn't very good at it. Was she reading flipping Cosmopolitan while she was doing it, was she?
Oh dear.
Anyway, I think the sets were styled very nicely, and I think the aesthetics all suited the other aesthetics.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was futuristic.
No, I mean you watch Kubrick and Kubrick stands up because it is actually what we do now.
Yeah.
Whereas that, no.
Yeah.
No.
I think it's very retro now.
Yeah.
Futuristic. I don't even sure it would have been futuristic in the 70s.
I
Maybe it was.
completely agree
but
with you on that one. Absolutely. I mean, like typewriters and calculators and stuff
I
like that.
loved Helena's typewriter.
But I don't think that was futurist. That wasn't even like modern in '75. Never mind.
Well, when people starting to develop computers and stuff.
Yeah. Mainframes and all sorts of
Yeah.
things. Yeah. So that's cool. What did you make of the Eagles? The spaceship Eagle things?
I believe that they are organic, asexual, self-reproducing vehicles.
Why'd you say that?
Because Alan crashes them all the time.
Sorry to interrupt, but a couple of podcasts ago we proved that he didn't, and it was John that wrecked more than he did.
Anyway, there's always an eagle being crashed. They always explode, and the majority of the time, whether it be John or Alan, they miraculously survive. But there's always this continuous, never-ending supply of eagles.
Yeah, but the actual craft themselves, the design, how they worked. What did you think of them?
I liked them.
Because it's probably the most iconic thing. If you want to do a T-shirt for Space 1999, you'd put an eagle on, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Because if you just put the moon on, well, the moon's the moon.
Could be
isn't
anything.
It? The moon base itself is quite, the way it looks like spokes on a wheel.
Yeah.
That's quite iconic.
I thought the eagles were very unique. I can't think of another sci-fi show with a ship that looks like that.
Yeah, and the fact that they were modular as well, and you got like different ones with different pods on, and
they've like different uses. I don't know, like transport ones, battle
VIP one, Simmons.
testicle, bumhole, monster ones.
What? When was that? That was the Ultra Pro. So which episode or plot device really push your suspension of disbelief to breaking point? And don't say all of them.
So which one did I think was the least believable?
Well, yeah, exactly. So you've got the moon blowing up, and you've got black holes and bumhole monsters, and you've got Rice Krispie things, and you've got roofie fembots, and I don't know. You're sport for choice, aren't you?
I mean, I don't necessarily think the bumhole monster was disbelievable. I think the most unbelievable thing was... I'm thinking people are...
The space brainy thing where the foam went in, I don't know.
I think probably the fembot. Guardian of Piri.
Right.
Yeah. Because I think that there are potentially other organic life forms out there, but I don't know if you have these seductress fembots trying to seduce people travelling the universe.
Well, it was a technology is bad episode, wasn't
Yeah.
it? So it was trying to show that, but obviously sexy and all that sort of thing as well.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think you could have picked practically every episode, couldn't you?
Was was the writer, did they have any sort of religious influence?
Yes, they did. One of the writers was very much a sort of relapsed, if that's the right word, Irish Catholic.
Relapsed?
With pagan interests.
Oh.
So yes, and so I think one of his was Dragon's Domain.
Right.
George and the Dragon.
I think you can see that come
But
through.
there's quite, I can't remember which one of the directors or the writers, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so yeah, if you want read my book when I finish, you can read it and it'll tell you all about him. So he's quite cool. So we're nearly there. Which two bad guy alien types would you pit off against each other? So if you could have, like, I don't know, the bumhole monster versus Baylor from End of Eternity or something like that, which two would you have, like, in a ring? You know, it's WWE.
Well, let's think, right? So let's think of Sybil Danning.
Is she the referee?
Is it Danning or Danning?
Danning.
Danning. So we've got Sybil Danning. So they're obviously aiming this audience towards testosterone-filled, erect teenage boys, aren't they?
I've ruined 99 for you today, haven't I?
So I am going to pit sexy alien robot against sexy alien. So the Guardian of Piri and Joan Collins.
Wow. You'd sell some tickets for that, wouldn't you?
Wouldn't you?
Have them pulling hair and everything else like that, wouldn't you?
But whose dress was the shortest?
All Joan would have to do is, like, get rid of the face, though. You know. That's
but
brilliant.
it could turn out like Austin Powers, like her tits might be guns.
Well, Helena would definitely have to referee that one, wouldn't she?
Oh, God. But would she argue about how short her skirt needed to be?
She would. That's brilliant, that. I'd love to sort of mock that up in Stable Diffusion or something like that. Get AI on the job.
Can I ask you who you'd pick?
Oh, I've not even thought about it.
Right.
Oh, my.
On the spot, mister.
Oh, you mean you're doing to me what I do to you, like, 12 times every episode?
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Let's who would I pick? I would have this is really hard.
It's not easy, is it?
No, it's not. It's not easy at all. I would have Christopher Lee against Masonic mushroom influence Paul.
Okay.
And they could have a hippie off, and Victor would be refereeing that.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love
Peace
it.
out, man. No peace here. I'll put you in a box. No, I'll give you a mushroom. Yeah.
I mean, the mushroom might seal the deal.
It wouldn't be violent. It would be like just sort of like one of them would get a sitar out, and the other one would light up a doobie or something like that, and then Victor would bring the brandy and the cigars. Wouldn't it? Yeah. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Okay.
That's it. Last question.
Oh.
If you had to take one episode and say you had a friend or a member of your family that wanted to see it.
Imagine having a friend.
And you said, oh, I've been watching this programme. And they said, oh, I'd really like to watch it. And you could pick one episode. Which episode would you give them? Like in a VHS, in a box with Sybil Danning on the front. Which episode would you say, this is a really good representation of the programme?
Oh. See, I don't think my favourite episode is the best representation of the programme.
What's your favourite episode then?
The Troubled Spirit.
Right, that's not a surprise. No, I've asked. Seeing as you love ghost story, horror, spiritual stuff, don't you?
I think I would do the one with Brian Blessed.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, with the twisty ending. Because they had quite a few twisty endings, didn't they?
Yeah, because wasn't it he couldn't survive? He wasn't immortal when he was off his out of his cave, off his planet.
And 1 minute he's holding Helena's hand, and then the next minute...
Yeah.
he's like something from the Halloween store.
Yeah. So that's what I would pick.
And you got Alan crashing and getting lost and all sorts of...
Fancy that.
Yeah.
What would you pick?
Dragon's Domain.
Right.
It's the most popular one, and I think it's because you get the backstory bit as well. You don't have to explain to people what's going on. You can work it out. Oh, they were on Earth, then they were on the moon, and something went pop, and it also, I think you get a good vibe for the technology and the way it's the future is now type stuff. And I think it's a good summation, and it's an easy enough story to follow. Some of them are a bit like. Why the cavemen? They've gone through a mission as cavemen, but they're not cavemen. And Helen's there, but she's not there. And why Sandra nothing? So that's what I would do. But what did you pick again?
Death to the Dominion.
Yes, Death to the Dominion. God, I can't remember. Could I? Oh, that's brilliant. Well, I'm pleased you've enjoyed it, and we are going to go into season 2.
I can't wait to do season 2.
Oh, you're going to hate me with season 2. I said that at the end of last episode,
It can't be that bad.
It is. So I just thought I'd wrap up my thoughts.
Yes, I'd love to hear
This
that.
has been good, because although I've watched it religiously, I've never actually sort of spent time analysing each episode and going through it, before each podcast and reading books and what have you.
Yes.
And I think that my sort of new revelations, I feel like, or new things that I've discovered, the first thing is Helena. So I looked a little bit into Helena's backstory.
Right.
And once I used to think Helena was this wooden character who did nothing and just was stiff as a board and just like was a bit wishy-washy. And when you actually read up on how she is here, and also you start to think about it, she's clearly just got shell shock. The moon exploded. She wasn't waiting for it.
Yeah.
She's got John shouting at her all the time.
It's not nice when
She's
someone
got a
shouts
moon base
all the
full of
time.
people who are not only physically got issues, but they're mentally got issues as well.
Well, yeah.
They've all lost their friends and family and
everything.
hedgehogs.
Oh, but don't worry, I'm not going anywhere.
And she's got to do with all that shit.
Yeah.
And if you read her backstory, which we've already covered in the podcast, but just to remind people, her backstory is that she's the daughter of somebody who won a Nobel Prize.
Right.
And she didn't meet expectations, so she essentially ran away to the moon. So she ran away to the moon to get away from the pressure
very
of...
sad.
Yeah. So I think that... And you see her gradually getting more confident and more capable as the episodes go on, don't you?
I always get the impression from the episodes that she's quite a capable Maddie.
But I think in the first few episodes, she just got an absolute kick in.
I would quite like to watch the first few again.
Well, you can watch them whenever you want. So that's my first... And the second thing is the muff, which you've already talked about twice.
But I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, yeah.
I again, that sort of passed me by. But now I've properly looked at it, and especially the last episode, The Testament of Arcadia. Yeah, you can see maybe there is an overarching story.
Right.
So I'm quite happy with the idea that there's a muff.
Okay.
And I'm not, if people don't believe it, fine. If it's a happy coincidence, fine. But I could quite happily tell people there's 4 or 5 episodes that all line up with each other.
I'm disappointed that I don't see the muff because
You're muff free.
I'm very much a disbeliever in coincidence.
Well, in a previous podcast we joked because I said there's no muff in season 2, and you said maybe you'll find some muff in season 2.
Yeah.
Now I've been looking into it.
There
may be a couple of muff episodes in season 2.
Is this from your book?
Maybe. Well, that and a few other things.
Right.
So we might find the muff.
Oh.
That'd be quite cool. And then just to sort of round some things off, you talked a lot about characterisation and how every episode was standalone, not much happened between them.
Yes.
So if you do a programme like this now and you're spending millions of dollars or millions of pounds, they would have people basically called showrunners, so people who look after the show, and they are the sort of guardians of the show. They have the idea of the character and the continuity and who's going to survive to the next season and what's going to happen to them, and they've got the overriding sort of arc of the story.
Right.
So we use Breaking Bad as an example a lot, don't we?
I was thinking of Breaking Bad there.
So Peter and Vince, they will sit in a room with their writers and they'll go, right, well, it's Walter White and he's a school teacher and this happens to him, but they can't get to season 2 and he's a drug baron. It has to happen over 4 or 5 seasons, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you might see one thing he says in season 2 is massively important in season 5 or something.
Yeah, exactly. So they would be, whilst they wouldn't write every episode, they could guide the writers and they could do the edit the scripts. They could say, that's too early or that's too late or
So is it almost like they develop a character and then they build the episodes and seasons around the character development?
I think it's more that it's the storyline as a whole.
Right.
So they've got a rough idea, So when we start season 1 and when we finish season 1, they know where they're going to be. It's like going on a journey. You might not know which road you take, but you've got a rough idea where you're going to end up. Now, 99 didn't have any of that.
Right.
99 had no real showrunner. They had a story editor, a guy called Johnny Byrne, but he very much was like, he got given scripts and then he would edit them. He didn't sit there and tell everybody, and there was a little bit of a Bible for each of the characters. But the actors turned up on day 1 and they had very little to go on. Nobody told them that, Victor likes cigars and brandy and that Paul Mike's playing badminton or anything like that.
Right.
They had so little to go on in terms of their characterisation. So right from Breakaway, they were making it up on the spot.
Which is quite difficult, I imagine, without any guidance or pointers.
But they didn't know whether are these characters, are they thinkers, are they angry, do they shoot first and ask questions later, do they stroke their chin when they're talking, they had no idea whatsoever.
Yeah, because I guess that's part of what a director must do, isn't it? This is how they want that character to be portrayed.
Yes. So because they had so many different directors, so many different writers, and nobody sitting there. Now it should have been somebody like Jerry Anderson's job, but Jerry Anderson went on record and said he didn't like actors, didn't like filming.
But they're just people.
So
you can't say I don't like people.
He liked playing around with the models and the special effects and that sort of stuff. Because if you think about Thunderbirds,
so he was a huge child.
Basically, yeah. And his wife Sylvia looked after people. She was like the mother of the set. So if you had a problem, you went to see Sylvia.
Who was Sylvia?
And she'd sort it out. So there wasn't really anybody sitting there going, right, okay, so we're going to make Paul, Paul and Alan are going to have a massive falling out, and then 3 episodes later they're going to kiss and make up, all right? Like you'd have in a sort of in any sort of big show. So they didn't have that. So that is why these characters were not looked after, because there was nobody there. John, Helena, fine.
Yeah.
The whole premise of the moon, fine. But that's why it was so random.
And that's especially difficult for the minor characters if they're not getting a lot of screen time and a lot of lines as well.
No, exactly. And the other thing was, there was no bad guy.
No consistent bad guy, yeah.
And I think that's something that you think about other similar shows, whether it be sci-fi or fantasy or whatever's, and there's usually some sort of protagonist and antagonist, and there's, whilst there might not be in every episode, there's a sort of overriding, this is what we're fighting against, this is what we're battling against. And the only thing they were doing is surviving.
Yeah, so like Vader or...
Well, I mean, the best example I can think of is the White Walkers from Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Because at the beginning, you barely saw them.
Uh-huh.
But they were mentioned now and again. And
they were very much an established baddie, even though you didn't see them, weren't they?
Yeah. So you could sort of see that.
Oh, Voldemort.
Voldemort, yes. Yeah, exactly. And I think that also didn't help, because they were literally just going from one episode to the next. So Star Trek had a very similar premise. Each episode would be standalone. But you would have the Romulans, or you'd have the Klingons, or you had the Borg as you go into the next generation.
Romulans are evil spot.
Yeah. So that's it. And then the final thing that surprised me when I was looking into this is that they didn't show any of these episodes until after filming had finished, and it was a good chunk of time. It was like 6 months after.
Oh, so there was no
feedback from the listeners,
viewer feedback.
Yeah, so that they put these in the can and then they showed them to people. And again, these in these days they'd either have pilot episodes, or they would have a very short run first, or they would have like test audiences.
The X-Files had a pilot that came out a little before the rest of it.
Yeah, and so you'd have all of that. And the fact that they spent £6 million or whatever it was, or $6 million on these episodes, and never once asked anybody what they think.
It's very risky, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it didn't pay off. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? It didn't pay off as well.
Which is a shame, because maybe with a little bit more thought and maybe investment in one of these sort of background runner people,
showrunners,
it could have been so much more, and if they'd got the bloody scheduling together as well.
Well, yeah, that was ironic. So,
yes,
they fixed some of these problems in season 2.
Okay.
They had a showrunner.
Right.
And they had somebody whose job it was to look after everything and stuff like that. I'll let you be the judge of whether it worked or not.
Oh, I get the feeling you don't.
Well, you like being, you like looking at things with different eyes, don't you?
You say I'm very contrary, is what you say.
So you'll sort of see, but yes, they got, and I'll explain more in the next episode. But
you're not giving me good feels about season 2.
They got somebody in, and their job was to be Lord and Master of the show, and to sort of say, right, yes, I will make sure all the scripts are consistent and all stuff like that. So.
But isn't Martin the star? Isn't it all up to him?
Martin and Helen are still the star. Yes. So anyway, thank you very much, everybody, for listening to us rambling on.
Before we go,
yes,
I would like to know your favourite character.
My favourite character? Well, I mean, in season 1, my favourite character is definitely Victor. I mean, Victor's just a star.
And your least?
And my least favourite character. Oh, that's a bit of a hard one. Probably Carnu.
Right.
He's a bit of he's very one-dimensional.
He's a bit
he?
boring, isn't he?
He doesn't show a personality much, and when he does, it's like to tell you that computer's crap.
Right.
You don't need an actor to tell you that.
No.
But I mean, I like them all because it's all it's like saying who's your least favourite Muppet. Everybody likes the Muppets, don't
yeah,
they?
they do.
You might not like the Swedish chef who tries to behead the chickens, but
he's part of the Muppets.
You're not going to cut him out, are you?
No.
But it's a funny one, that. But yeah, definitely those sort of things.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry for interrupting.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, that's the whole part of it. I mean, I'm very much like. I don't tend to get like that anyway about programs. I don't have me favourites and.
Oh, I do.
Who do you like, Luke, or do you like Han, or do you like
Luke. I love Luke.
Yeah, I just sort of take things as they are. I mean, like when you get these big ensemble things like this and Star Trek and Star Wars and what have you, I think it's difficult to.
Do you know who else I've got a real soft for?
Who?
Jessie.
Jessie.
Breaking Bad.
Oh no!
I love Jessie.
It's a very diverse podcast now, isn't it? Very diverse. So we're going to move straight into season 2.
Right.
And all the batshit craziness that is season 2.
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh God! Oh, that first couple of episodes is going to be hard work with you, Mrs.
I don't think it can be as bad as you're making out.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
Indeed.
But when you've got an episode with Brian Blessed in, you're going to be okay.
Is he in the first one?
Yep.
Oh, yay!
Colossal guest star, first one.
The colossal guest star, yay.
So thank you very much, everybody.
Yes, and thank you very much to you, Colin, for guiding us through season 1.
And if you're ever bored one night, go on IMDb, look up Sybil Danning, and any film from her collection will keep you entertained for a couple of hours.
Especially if you're a teenage boy.
Teenage boy. Yes, definitely. Right, thank you very much.
Thank you.